Hey guys, so today we're going to be going over Django cars and brands. This is a challenge for nested CRUD. So let's get into it. All right, so first things first, I got to fork it over to my personal GitHub account. Just going to do that here. All right, now that's complete. I'm going to copy the URL, go over to my terminal, do a git clone for Django cars and brands, and then open that project up and VS Code. All right, there is my VS Code. Let me transfer it to a new window. All right, here we go. So it looks like that we already have a Django project created for us. So as always, we need to first create a virtual environment. So I'll do so here, Python-m VNV, and I would like to name my virtual environment .vnv. All right, that got created. Let me get into my virtual environment by doing source, my virtual environment name, bin activate. There we go. So I'm in my virtual environment now. Next, I want to make sure my git ignore is proper. So change that to .vnv, and we should be good to go. All right, so given that we already have a project, it's nice to see that we have a requirements.txt file provided for us. So we could use that for installing all of our libraries. So to do that, I could do Python, that would be pip install -r requirements.txt. And I'll just basically go through this text file and install all the libraries that are shown. All right, looks like that is complete. Now that we have our libraries all installed, let's check out our project. So our Django project has two folders. We have car app, which is actually our project folder. So we probably should name that more appropriately. But regardless, car app will be our project folder. Cars and brands is our actual app here. All right, so just to verify, I'm going to go into my settings file for my project and check to see that my application name is provided. So it looks like that's appropriately added to my installed apps section. So that's good to go. And then I'm going to check out my databases section. So it looks like we're looking for a database called car app. So let's actually create that database by running create db car app. Looks like I already have that database. So let me drop that database quickly. And let's create it. All right, great. So my database should be created. Looks like my settings file is ready to go. So that is done. Next up, I want to look at my models. So it looks like we don't have any models created right now. So that's something we're going to have to create for our challenge here today. So let's actually take a look at our challenge and read the description. So we're making a card app that focuses on creating cars and respected brands. So if you think about some car brands, like there's Ford as a parent company, and the brands might be like Ford Fiesta or a Ford Focus or Ford Fusion within that car model or that car company. Okay, so first we're going to create our brands. So let's create a model for that. So I'm going to do class brand. This will inherit from models.model. And then we're going to have some fields here. So probably want a brand name. That's going to be a models char field. Let's go with max length of 64 seems good enough. What else would we want here? Not sure if there's anything else required here. Let's just add a description. Who knows if we need it. Description models dot char field max length of 128. All right, so we have a brand model there. Let's do our dunder string method before we forget. So str self and return some friendly string. So let's in this case return self dot name as the string method return. All right, brand is done. Let's do cars now. So car models, class car model. Great, let's double check here. Yep, so we'll go with car model, models.model. We name this car brand. Okay, so model probably has a name also, so let's copy that over. But the additional thing is this will have a foreign key to a car brand. Each car brand owns a bunch of models, so do brand equals models.foreign key. The reason we're using a foreign key is because this is a one-to-many relationship. One car brand can have many car models kind of nested underneath it, but one car model cannot belong to multiple car brands. So in this case, it's a one-to-many, so we use a foreign key. This would be a foreign key to car brand. Related name will be models. And on delete, we'll just do models.cascade. Okay, so let's create a done restrict method for this model also before I forget. And this will also return the name of model, but let's say brand. Let's return the brand name also. Model. Just do self dot brand, and that should return this dunder string method for the car brand. All right, so it looks like that should be good enough for now. I'm not sure what other fields we might need. I think that should be good enough for now. All right, so we created our models. Our next step now is to actually push these models to our database. So we have a database created. The next thing we need to do is run python manage.py make migrations. And this will actually go through our app and create a script for these models so that we could add those to our database. Looks like I'm on the wrong directory level, so always good to verify that. So I need to cd into car app, and now I can run my command of python manage.py make migrations. All right, so it looks like it created a model migration for my car brand and for my car model. Great. Now, once we have those migration scripts created, let's actually push this to our database. So the way we do that is by running python manage.py migrate. So looks like it applied a bunch of Django specific model migrations, but also our cars and brands application migration. All right, great. Our next step is to actually seed our database. So taking a look at our steps, we created a schema, we migrated our models, and now we want to create some data in the database. So there's a few ways we can go about this. There's we go through our shell and write Python commands to add items manually. We can use Django fixtures. We can also use our admin panel. So we have a few options available to us. And eventually we're going to want to allow the user to also add some new items. So let's go about adding some seed data right now. The easiest way I know how is going through the admin panel. So that's the way I'm going to go for this demonstration. So to access my admin panel, I need an admin user or a super user. To do that, I need to create a super user running python manage.py create super user. All right, I'm going to give my super user name. By default, I use my computer name, but I'll just go with admin password of admin passwords don't match. All right, so I use the common password, but in this case, I'm not too worried about security, so I'm just going to accept the password I've added. All right, great. So let's actually try running our server. So we do python manage.py run server. Let's go with a port number of 8080. Okay, so our port is 8080. The default port is normally 8000, but I've specified a port in this case. So I'm going to bring up browser window here. There's a new window. Let's make that full screen. And then I want to go to localhost 8080. All right, looks like we got our standard Django page. So it looks like our project is running successfully. Let's actually add some more specific views for our project. To do that, first off, I'm going to go to my project folder, go to my URLs in that project folder. In here, I'm going to add some URL paths. So here, we already have our admin path. I'm going to add on to it. Let's call this cars as our base. And we'll do include, and then our app URLs that we're going to link to. So in this case, our app name is cars and brands. And then we'll go to URLs. All right, so we need to include the include function, I guess. So now that we've pointed to our app URLs, we need to actually create that file. So I'm going to go to my app folder. In my app folder, I'm going to create a new file, call it urls.py. In here, I'm just going to copy my project URLs. In here, I'm going to add some more specific paths for my application. So I probably have a home page, so that we listed here. We'll go with views.index. And the name for this will be home. Let's see what else. I'm going to copy these paths because that's the ones we want based on our requirements. So let's add some paths here. Path brands. Ability to create a new brand. Ability to see the detail for a given brand that we select. And the ability to update an existing brand. All right, and then we want our nested card functionality, which is the ability to see all car models of a particular brand. Then we have the ability to add a new car model for a given brand. We should also be able to view the detail of a given car model and ability to update a given car model. So given those paths, let's do those one by one. So we'll have views.brands. Brand list. Views.brand new. That name of brand new. Likewise, we have views.brand detail. Brand detail. And finally, for our brands, we need ability to update. So it looks like we're not offering delete capability, so that's the D in CRUD, but that's easy enough to implement if we wanted to. Do brands edit. And the brand edit. Okay. So we have those in place. Make sure we remember our commas here. So this is a list. And then we need to do that for cars also. So do views that model list, models, name equals model list. Views that model new. Equals model new. A couple more. We got views that model call this detail. Name equals model detail. And finally, we have view dot model edit. Okay, so we have all of our routes specified and appropriate route names. We need to create the view handlers for these routes. So we have something to properly display. let's go about doing that. Before I forget, let me include my cars and brands, import review. All right, so let's actually copy these so we have the appropriate name. I'm going to go to my views.py. And here, I'm going to create all the views I need to create. So clean this up. So we're going to have an index, which is going to be some home page. Here we'll do brands. Not sure the best way to do this, brands. Here we have brand new. Brand edit. And the rest are for models, so I should be able to copy and paste those. All right, so brand new, brand detail. Should we have that in our URLs? Yep, brand detail. I'm just going to copy these and do that for models. Go. Go. So I'll do and find place. I'll replace brand with model for my selection here. Okay, cool. So we have our functions stubbed out here. Good start here. Let's actually make sure our routes are working. So let's from Django HTTP import HTTP response. And now let's fill this in with something so we can see that we're getting to the right place. This is homepage. This is the brands list. Here. Brand new. All right, so I guess I probably should have copied them afterwards, but here for our models. All right, next up we have detail. And finally, we want to show form. Okay, so we should have these routes kind of stubbed out here. Comment. All right, but we need to actually create some data. So let's actually do that through our admin panel, as I did earlier. So I'm going to go to /admin. And it looks like our server is not up. We return all these items. And then we want to make sure our signatures for our functions make sense. So homepage takes in only request, brand takes in nothing. Brand new will take a brand ID, brand detail. Or sorry, that will not take in anything. Brand detail will take a brand ID as a parameter, as will edits. Models will take in a brand ID, brand ID here. Our detail will take in a brand ID and a car ID. Let's call that model ID. And likewise here, we'll do brand ID, model ID. All right. Now we need to get our server running, cars and brands. All right, let's see. No module like that. Let's try running our server again. Invalid syntax. 13 of our URLs. What did we screw up here? Looks like we're forgetting our commas. Look for half of these. The other half. All right, comma there, comma there. Save that. Can I import views? There we go. Yeah, some typos here. Views. Okay, there we go. Looks like our server seems fine here. Show feed is matched. So model ID. Model ID. All right, save that. Let's see what happens here. All right, so we have our admin panel. I should be able to log in, so I created my super user before. All right, looking at an admin terminal, we see groups and users, which are some default Django objects that exist, but we don't have access to our brands or models. The thing we need to do to get that access in our admin panel is if we go to our app folder, go to admin.py, we need to register our models. So here we're going to import from cars and brands, imports, let's go models, imports. We had car brand and car model. We need to register those. So we'll do admin site register car brand. And likewise, sites register car model. All right, so that's been registered. What's next? Next, let's actually add some items. I'm going to refresh this page. Notice that we have car brands and car models available to us, so we can add them. Let's add some brands. We'll go with Ford, since I mentioned that earlier. US-based car brand. All right, so we have brand Ford. Let's add another brand. Let's go with Honda. I believe that's Japanese based car brand. Let's add one more. Let's go with Kia, which I believe is a South Korean based car brand. All right, so we have some a few brands here. Make that consistent. All right, so we have Kia, Honda, Ford, US based. Okay, so we have 3 car brands. Let's actually add some models. So I'm going to go to home, go to models. Let's add some models. So let's go with Ford Focus. So now let's put Ford. Save that. Another car model. What else? We have Honda. So that's the Accord is I think their best-selling car. Go with Honda Accord. And then I know there's a Sorento model for Kia. All right, so we added a model for each of the brands. We'd add more if we wanted to, but we'll handle that later. So let's actually get back to our coding. So our route should be set up, but we actually need to render some, have some templates render some data. So let's go about creating our templates. So in my app folder, I'm going to create a new folder called templates. In here, I'll call a folder called pages. And then let's, we got another folder for brands. In here, I'll create a brand specific template. So we'll go with, all right, so I'm going to call that, let's call it brand list.html. A page for brand detail.html. And then I'll have one last one for brand form.html. This will be used both by my new and my edit. So let's do those. All right. So we have brand list. Let's get this going. So we'll do, let's create a base template. So I'm gonna call that base.html. It's gonna house all my structures. So here I'm gonna have some content. So create a block for that. Do block main content. Always remember to end your blocks. All right, now we could do a title if we want to. Title. Okay, so that's our base HTML. We're gonna extend from those. So we'll go to brand list. Let's do an extend template. So extends base.html. Here we have two blocks we could fill out. So we have block page title. And we'll say all brands, or all car brands. Block. For our main contents. Block here. Main content, what's the name of that block that I'm going to fill in. All right, so here, let's have H1, say brands, and this will simply be a list. So unordered lists, we'll go with list items. This will be a for loop. So we're going to pass in all of our brands here. So let's do for the brands, all that stuff, and then end our for loop here. All right, so we're going to create list elements. This will be the dot name of the brand, and we probably want to link to our brand page. So we'll do anchor tag within the list elements, a list item, and that will link to our detail page. So we're going to do URLs. This will go to the brand details. So our app name, go back to our URLs, give it an app name. And then brand list, we'll do cars dot brand detail. And you pass a brand ID, so that'll be b.id. All right, so that's going to be our brand list. Let's actually see if that works, and then we'll proceed from there. We actually need brand detail too, so let me do that. Do a brand detail so we can actually link to it. Let's do, we have a brand here, so brand dot name. Brand dot name as the header. Probably let's show the model underneath it. So we'll do b dot brand dot name. Okay, so we have that. We don't need a list. Let's go with that. Double quote curly braces up here. Space things out. All right, so this is our detail page. It's going to show brand, the model name, and then the broad brand name. So let's put that in there. And, oops, sorry. This is not even going to be a model. It's supposed to be a brand. And we want to show an unordered list of all the models for it. So to do that, we're going to have another for loop. Here we're going to do, let's see, a for loop. So for model in brand dot models. So now where's this list of models coming from? So if we go back to our models.py, remember we created a related name of models. Let's actually call that car models, so we don't confuse yourselves with any other models that might exist. So not sure if I need to actually commit this, bash. All right, so we call it car models. Let's actually make migrations in case that causes issues. So make, manage, first get into a virtual environment. Then we want to get into the right directory. So it's car app. So I'm going to do Python and make migrations. All right, alter field. So yep, looks like we needed to change that. Clear this out. And then we want to do Python manage.py migrates. All right, looks like that's through. Okay, so given that, go back to our templates for brand detail. We need to call car models, since that's what we have the relay name changed to. And then here we'll do it in 4. All right, so within this loop, we simply want to create links to our models. So for now, I'm going to leave off those links. Let me just list the title. So we don't want to make too much progress without checking incrementally. So I think I'll stop here after listing the model name. All right, so we're going to iterate over the car models. For each model, we're just going to show the name in the list. All right, let's actually check out some of our routes. So far we have a brand list, template page, and a brand detail. So let's go back to our views. And since we have something to show for that, let's actually do that for our brands. So instead of returning HTTP response, we'll do render. So we'll take in the request objects, the template name. So this is pages / brands / brands brand list.html. Okay, and then for data, we're going to need to pass a dictionary. So this is going to be dictionary. It's going to have brands as the key. This is going to be brand.objects.all. So basically all the car brands listed in our database. So we need to import the models here. So from cars and brands models, imports car brand and car model. All right, so we're just going to grab all the car brands. So car brand.objects.all. That's going to be stored under brands. We're going to pass that to our template page via the data dictionary here. All right, so this keyword here, brands, is used by our brand list here. All right, so we can name that whatever we want, but make sure those have a match. So let's save that. All right, I'm going to go back here. Let's get to our page here. All right, so cars is our app name or our app path that we specified. So let's go to cars. So we get to our homepage, nothing exciting there. Let's actually go to brands. All right, looks like that's not found. Brands should be, let's see, car/brands. Bringing a backslash here. Nope. All right, let's check our URLs. So we have these slashes. Not sure how we have that. So yep, we don't want these slashes here. All right, let's save that. Let's see if our server's happy. Seems like it's happy. Let's refresh. Still no. Slash. Okay, looks like I have an error in my templates. Okay, let's go back to my templates. Here, I probably don't need the curly braces. Already in curly braces. Let's see if that fixes it. Brand detail 3. All right, error during template rendering. reverse for brand detail with arguments 3, not found, 1 pattern tried, car/brand/ID. See what that's all about. URLs. So maybe specify using hints. I don't think that's an issue, but well, those. All right, so we're trying to go to brands. We're just trying to go to brands actually. But it's saying this the brand ID, brand ID. That's what I named it in my handler. All right, let's give this a run. All right, there we go. So again, my mistake was the path was using ID versus my views was expecting something called brand ID. So again, if those don't match, Django will kind of throw up an error. In this case, that was my mistake for not checking my route names correctly, but I want to use brand ID in this case. All right, so we have our list of brands. We have Kia, Honda, and Ford. Let's try investigating one of them. So if I click on Ford, brand detail goes here. So it looks like we're not rendering brand detail because our view is not returning that template. So let's do that quickly. Brand detail, something like that. So we have data. In this case, we should have a brand. Right. So let's look at our brand detail. We should call that brand. And brand.name, brand.car model. All right, so brand is going to be the key that we're going to use for our data. Let's go back to our views. We call it brand. In this case, we don't want all the car objects. We want to get a particular one, and that's going to be from our brand ID. Probably good to check that this exists. So I might do this a bit earlier. We'll do brand equals that. Wrap that in a try except. Out error in our console, and then let's return each response saying that car brand doesn't exist. All right, otherwise, if we do get a brand, we want to use that here. All right, and I want to show the brand detail here. Okay, so for the brand detail, we get past a brand ID. Again, that's coming from our URL path. So when we navigate to brands/specific ID, that ID will be passed to our handler. Here we'll get a brand ID. We want to use that brand ID to get that particular brand. And then assuming that exists, we could render our page using that brand. So if we look at our template again, this brand object is what we're passing to it. So can that, let's actually go back, refresh here, go to Ford, type error, what happened here. Okay, let's take a look at our error. Press detail. So it says related manager object not iterable. I assume that is because if I look at my brand detail, this models, I think I need a .all there. Is that a try? All right, so take away the parentheses, .all, is that what I want? There we go. So I'm gonna use a .all for that related name. So car models.all, and that gives us focus. That's the brand we added for Ford. All right, so we accomplished reading our data. We want to also be able to add new models and also update existing models. So let's actually do the new. We go to /new, brand new form goes here. So let's actually do that template. So let's create a form here. It's going to be similar sections. But as I kind of mentioned earlier, I want to use this form for both editing and creating a new item. So I'm going to have to do that a little smartly. So if I do something like have an if statement here, if create or update. So this is the create case. This value will be true. I want to show create new brand as my title. Otherwise, my else case will be where I'm updating. I want to update brand, or let's actually show the brand here. So we'll do brand dot name. I want to end this if block, so do end if. All right, so we'll show different title based on if we're creating or updating. So we're going to pass a value of creator update to this form. Likewise, here we want to do something. So I guess we'll do the same thing. Do less up here. Okay, so create new brand or update brands. Our form will be the same. I'll put these in H3 tags, I think. Or let's use H3s here. Okay, so we're going to show create new brand or update brand based on this Boolean value that we will pass in. So keep that in mind. That's something we're going to need to do. And then here, we want to show a form. So show a form. The method will be a post. Inside of here, we need to show something. So that's where we get into using model form. So we could do this ourselves. We could create a form for each of the fields for our model and allow the user to edit those fields, but I'd rather use model forms because it's much easier. So to do that, I'm going to go to my app folder. I'm going to create a new file. Let's call it forms.py. Gonna make sure that's in my correct location. So forms.py. Here I'm going to use model form. So to do that, I need to do Django forms, import model form. Also need the models. So that's cars and brands, models, import car brands and car model. All right, so let's create our model forms. So to do that, I'm going to do class, let's go car brand form. I'm going to inherit from model form. Then we need to specify a nested class called meta. It must be named meta. You do not have control over this naming. You can name your model form whatever you want to, but you do need a nested meta class. Here you need to specify the model. So this form is going to be car brand. And the fields you want accessible. So in this case, fields will be a list. I could do something like all. Let's see what happens with that. Likewise, I'm going to copy this because it'd be very similar for my car model form. Car model. All right, so I have my forms. Now that I have my forms, I'm going to go back to my views, import those models. So from cars and brands.forms, import car brand form and car model form. All right, so car brand form is what I want to use for my brand new handler. So I'm going to return some render of a template that I have. In this case, it's going to be brand form, which is a template I created. I'm going to still create, I guess. The data here should take in, let's see. So I have model form, but I need to know form equals my car brand form. This will either be request.post if we're posting, or none as initial data. And then if we, I guess this is a new, yes, this is none. And then we don't need an instance, I don't think. Our brand form, and we need our data dictionary. So data equals form. And that will be our form object. All right, so create a form, pass it within our data dictionary, and that should go here. But we also need another variable you remember, we need a create or update variable. And in this case, we're creating, so this can be initialized to true. All right, for the update case or the edit case, we'll make that false. When they post, let's see if requests that method post, then we want to actually try to save this. So we're going to do form.save. There's an error, probably show an error. It's actually redirects if we're successful. So I'm going to add this redirects function and return redirect to. What do you want to redirect to? So redirect to back to the brand. So we're going to do cars and redirect to the brand list. Gonna make that plural. Don't remember. It looks like it's singular. So back to my views. I go back to brand list. Otherwise, let's show an error message in the HTTP response saying error creating brand. Either way, we're going to return here and not proceed down here. Okay, so car brand form. Let's try this out. So if I go, I'm going to need a button on my brand list page. Let's add a new button. Add some horizontal rules. Button the add brand. Make that a link. And this will link to our route for creating new brand. So in that case, we're going to do URL, curly %brace URL, the path, the route name. So in this case, our app name is cars. And then we want to give it brand underscore new as a route. And we don't need to pass anything else for that, but we need to close. Okay, let's see how this looks. So I'm going to go back to brands. Looks like my server's down. Not sure what's going on there, so let's restart it again. No module name car app cars brands. Where is this happening? Take a look. Forms.py line 1. All right, cars and brands, models, models, import from models. Okay, not sure what this error is, but we can debug it. So cars and brands saying no module name car app. Where's car app coming from? Not sure. Oh, right here. Gotcha. Not sure how that line snuck in there. Get rid of that. All right. Unknown fields all. Looks like it doesn't like that. Go to our documentation. So model form. Another thing called all. Django. Let's take a look. Okay, so it looks like we don't add that to the list. Try running our server now. All right, cool. So if we're doing all fields, we don't need to add that to a list. We just use all in this manner. So that was the error before. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Go refresh this page. Okay, so we have forward, go here, forward focus, go back. We should have the ability to add form. I'm not sure what happened to that. So we'll do that somewhere incorrectly. Base. This is for the brand list. Oh, I did not have this within my main content, so it's kind of sitting out no man's land. All right, let's save that. Refresh. Okay, so we have an add brand button. Let's click that. Create new brand. Notice we have no form yet because if we look at our form template, we haven't added that form. So here, let's do form as table. And then since I'm doing it as a table, I need to surround it with an opening and closing table tag. Put that there. And then also need a button to submit. So type will be submit. And let's see, we'll conditionally do this. So if create or update, so create case, that means create is true. We want to show add brand as our text. Else we want to show update brand, and then close out superparable if block. So we do end if. All right, so we have a button that will show something conditionally. Let's save that. Let's refresh our page here. All right, there we go. So we have a name, description. Not sure why the font is gigantic. Oh, put our end if out here. That's not what we want. All right, let's try that again. All right. So we have our form, name, description. So let's create a new brand. What brands are there? There's General Motors, another US-based car brand. All right, let's try adding this brand. Oh, one thing I always forget. Whenever you have a form, remember, you always need your CSRF token. Hopefully I remember this time. Otherwise, Django will show an error. So let's actually refresh this page. General Motors. Another US-based car brand. All right, let's try adding this. Okay, notice that we got General Motors added. If I click on it, it should give us brand General Motors. All right, let's actually update our details. So let's see. In this case, we don't have any models, so that's why nothing was shown there. Okay, so we have brand General Motors. What else we want to show here? Maybe models. H4 models. All right, so no models currently. Maybe you want to show something in that case. All right, do that. We do an if. Let's check the length of that. If else we list. To end the if. Okay, so in this case, we want to show something like just none. All right, let's see how that renders. Put that in the paragraph. right, let's see how this looks. Refresh. Wrong here. All right, looks like Lynn is not legit here. How do we check? Change check. Looks like we're using like this. So that's a know my change syntax. So that works. Refresh. All right, here we go. Model is none. All right, cool. What else? What else? What else? All right, so that should handle our creating our new brand. Let's actually do the updating. So go back to our views. Just gonna copy what I have here. It's gonna be very similar. Probably want to break this out into a shared function. Let's get this working first. Do form. Brand detail, brand fix. All right, we get a brand ID. We'll make sure we have valid brand, instance equals brand. Okay, I think that should be fine. Let's actually redirect back to the car brand detail. How do we actually pass arguments? Django redirects pass arguments. Args equal. Let's give that a try. Args equal, and then we want to pass the brand ID. Let's give that a try. Okay, so for the update case, we gotta specify, we need to grab the existing brand and then pass that as an instance, and then creator update's gonna be false. So the update case, still pass the form. Okay, and then on our brand detail, we need to add a button. So I'm gonna copy that from my brand list page, which was this HR detail. At the bottom. Edit brands. Edit brand. Okay, let's see if this is all hooked up correctly. So I'm going to refresh this. All right, we got a button for editing brand. Let me click that. All right, notice that we have our values pre-populated, so it looks good. Looks like the title is correct, so that's working correctly. Let's change the description maybe. So maybe change the title to have the short form of General Motors, another US-based car company. All right, I'm just going to change the title. So if we go update brand, got error creating new brand. That's not good. Let's see what may have gone wrong. So I go back to my views, and then let's see what the issue was. All right, I don't see any errors on here. Form.save. What could be the issue here? Prints. Let's see if I have anything useful here. So let's go back. Refresh here. Anything in our console? All right, it looks like didn't like my redirect attempt. So it looks like it did save. Reverse your brand detail with improvements. Yeah, I'm not sure. Looks like my redirect is not working correctly. Let's try Googling that. So Django redirect as arguments. Okay, switch for redirects. There's an args value. Let's see. Maybe we could do it that way. So do brand ID equal brand ID. See if that cleans it up. Our error message should probably be error updating. Okay, so let's see if that works for passing arguments. Okay, that works. So it looks like we just pass the values like this. So the brand ID, we assign it the brand ID that we got in. All right, so here we updated our brand. We don't have any models here, so yeah. Edit brand. What do you want to do now? Yeah, so that takes care of our first level where we could read, add, and also edit a brand. Our next step is to do it for car models. I'm gonna add a new folder to my templates called models. Move that to pages right here. I'm gonna create something very similar. So let's go about doing that. I'm actually just gonna copy what I had before. Right. Model should go up. Copy these pages. There. All right, so I'm going to rename these to the model detail. Also model form. And these are car models, not to confuse ourselves with our Django models. Okay, and model list. All right, so let's actually quickly update these. So we're going to do all our models for one brand here. So we're going to have brand dot name. Then we're going to want to show two items here. Let's do so what are we doing here? This is the model list. Trying to think what we're trying to do here. So we just want to see models. So that's something what we're doing in our model detail here. I'm trying to think if we let's do this. Let's go back to our page here. So it looks like brand slash car. So we list all car specific. Okay, so maybe I got ahead of myself. So in my brand detail, maybe I just want to show the description. Brand.description. Okay, and then we'll say showing the models for my model lists. Okay, so we have brand with the model dot brand dot name. And then the models will be what I had before. All right, so we're gonna list the brand, the models, and okay, let's see if that works. Probably want to add a button to my brand detail. Brand detail has one button. Let's add another button. All models. To models. Let's go to model list for the brand ID. All right, so we add another link going to model list from given the brand ID. That should get to our model list page. And here we should be able to use the model to get the brand name. All right, so if I go back to my views, we're going to be doing models. That's our list. So we should get a brand ID like so. Let's copy what we had before. Probably should make this a function, but copy. First, we get the brand, so that brand exists. We'll get all the models for it. So we're going to have a data dictionary. Data will equal models. And that's going to be model car model dot objects dot filter. We'll do brand equals brand. That should accomplish it. Basically, we're going to go through all of our car models and find the ones that have a matching brand ID. That'd be the models here. And then we want to return a render of that page. So let's do that here. So we're going to return models dot model list and pass it data. Okay, so let's see if this actually works. Going to refresh my page. End block line 10. This is for brand. So I'm going to screw that up. So if here, let's try that again. All right, so if we go to view models, we get an error. It's like that's where my end left off. My apologies. So I need to end the model lists. I need to end it here. That's where I grabbed it from. So this, refresh. Okay, so we have brand, nothing there. So we can pass it the model. So if I go back to, yeah, I think my template here, we don't have a model, we just have a brand. All right, save this, refresh. Refresh, no, it's not working. What was our template passing? So we don't model. Here we just pass brand. Not a mistake. Let's try that. Refresh. All right, there we go. General Motors has no brand specified, but let's go to like one of our other ones. All right, so Kia has the Sorento. What else? Let's go to Ford. Or Ford is one, I think. Or Focus. Okay, that looks like we are properly showing all the models. Let's do the next thing. Let's do model detail. Let's usually next up on the queue. So here we want to pass two items. Or I guess we want to pass a model ID. So it should be model that at H2. Here detail go to H2. H3. There. Okay, sorry for all the header changes. To here. All right, so model detail we'll use H2, H2. Model will be model.name. You probably want to show a description down below. We don't need any of this. We simply want to show description will be model.description. I think we had, no, we didn't even have a description for our models. So, all right, scratch that. Show model and brands. Simple enough. Want to edit the model. So to edit that, we want to go to model edits, pass it a model ID. All right. let's see if our detail works. So if I go to model list, let me make some anchors here. So anchor tag. Okay, so we need an href from here. We're going to link to the model detail. So to do that, do URL, give it the relative name. So that's cars model detail. And now we need to pass it 2 items. One is brand ID equals brand ID, and model ID equals m.id. In this case, we do m.brand.id. Okay, let's see if that works. What else do we need to do here? All right, we need to close this. All right, so we're passing 2 values, the brand ID and the model ID. In this case, let's save that and let's see if this works. So refresh here. All right, so we get a link for focus. Let's see if we actually go there. Model detail goes here. So that is because we are not rendering anything for our model detail. Model detail currently is a HTTP response. Let's actually return something more appropriate. So I go here, replace this. So you're passing brand ID. I think we just want for our model detail. I think we just want model. I don't want to pass in a brand. So let's do that. This up here. That should be what I want. Okay, so we're just going to pass the model. So if I look at my views, I don't really care about brand ID. I just care about model ID. So let's look here, model, model. But I need to get that model. I'll do it similar try except over here, except for my car model. Model ID, and that's going to be called model, of course. That car model. As you may notice, there's seems to be some redundant code here. I probably should spend some time cleaning that up. But I want to just get this working first. So add model, grab the model, assume that exists. I assign it to my data and pass it to my model detail here. Okay, let's save that. Let's see what goes here. No reverse match. Where is this? So let's read the error. This is for model edits. Let's see, this is models, model detail. Not sure what's going on here. Let's take a look at our model detail. Cars.model edit should take in 2 values. So I think that's the problem here. We have model ID equals that. And we need a brand ID. Brand ID equals model.brand.id. So that's what was the error. There we go. Yep, so we need to specify both parameters because if we look at our views, our brand detail takes in both. Even though we're not actually using brand ID, so maybe we could somehow ignore that, but it's going to keep that as is. All right, so we have our model focus, brand is Ford. Let's go to edit model. All right, so nothing interesting there yet, but we do link correctly. We also go to cars/new. Should get the new form. So it looks like our links are working correctly. Let's actually let's actually, let's see, add functionality. So I'm trying to think where the new would go. Maybe the new should go on the model lists, which I think was here. Model list, we don't have this, so set that to the bottom. Not sure if I'm being consistent enough, but all right, so I want to do model new. Look from here, add model. Okay, let's finish those out. So we need to do the model form here. I think this can be pretty similar. I could even probably use the previous form I had, but I don't want to get that crazy right now. So do model. Update some of these. Okay, so we have our we have our form page, which is going to be creating a model or updating a model. We're going to show create new model, update model, form as a table, and then okay, pretty simple changes there. Let's actually render that. So go back to our views. Model new should render that for the brand ID. So how do we do this? First, we want a form. It's going to be car model form. Form.brand. That's what we do. I'm not sure about this, so I'm going to test this out. So if I do car brand.objects.get pk equals brand ID, let's see if we can set brand value for that form. What else do we want to do here? We want to render something. So let's copy this. Put that there. We're going to do model form. And then our data dictionary should have create or update value. In this case, it's going to be true. We're creating, and we're going to have what we're going to have here form. That's going to be our form. And then if we're posting, so if request method equal post, we want to do one thing else. We want to set the form brands for that. Let's give this a try. Form.save, and then we return a redirect to where do we want to go this time? Go to cars / model list, and then we have brand ID. If that works. I guess that could be a little different. So maybe brand ID should be form.brand. So the brand ID can change. So I think I don't want to use brand ID that's coming in. Let's try that and make the sets. Return some error to our user. All right, let's turn it in here. That's let's say error and brand. Our new model. My bad. Model. All right. So let's give this a try. Let's see if we can add a new model. So I want to go back to start at the very top. So we have a home page. Probably should link to something here. But let's go brands. Okay, we have a bunch of brands. Let's go to Ford. All right. Let's view models. That does not work. During template rendering, new model, one pattern tried. Let's take a look at our URLs. So we should have brands, brand ID, cars / new. So make sure our paths are correct. So let's go and edit brand 1 / cars. So we're trying to go to brand 1 / cars. That looks correct to me. Check that out. All right, yep, that looks fine. So let's try that again. No reverse match at cars brand /1 / cars. Model new is issued. So let's see what model new is doing. Go to model new. All right, yep, we need a brand ID. That's what we left off there. Let's see if we refresh it. All right, there we go. So this is our brand. If you want to look at the detail, you can. Let's try to add a model. All right, so this did not seed correctly, so that's something I got to work on. But the new model will be, let's say, Fusion. And this will go with Ford. Add model, error. All right, so, okay, got some work to do here. Let's break this down one by one. So first thing is my brand was not being populated correctly. So if I do this, so I want to get a brand here. Gotcha. So we need to do request dot post for what I want. I'm not sure if that's what we want, but we'll give it a try. Nope, still didn't populate. So format brand is what I'm trying to do here. Should print this out then. Print form.brand. That gives us brand 4. So it is finding that brand correctly. Question is, why is that not setting up correctly for us? All right, maybe I'll get back to that. Let's actually figure out why we're not actually saving anything. So let's try this again. Fusion and brand 4. All right, here adding model. Let's actually try to break this down. So add exception as B. Prints B. Let's see what happens here. We get car model form has no attribute brands. Okay, that is news to me. Let's actually print out that car model form. So if we go to car model form, we have these, but maybe can we add? Let's see. Let's try extra fields. Extra fields and brand. That's to the magic force. Even for still no attribute brand. All right, so what I'm attempting to do here is trying to set the brands ahead of time. All right, so it looks like I'm accessing the form incorrectly. So it looks like I need to use form.fields. And then instead of doing it this way, I believe I need to use an initial, set the initial value for brand. That'll be equal to the brand I should get from the brand ID. So let's do that quickly. Copy this from models, get a brand. So that brand is legit. That's the brand here. All right, so this is the initial value we want to set for that field. Since we do have a brand in mind here, we have the brand ID. And then let's see if this gets what we want. Let's save that. Let's go back, refresh. That's Fusion. Call it. Still got an error. Let's see the errors here. That's just the issue. Brand ID is not quite what I want. Let's see if that works for now. All right, so it looks like we added a bunch of fusions. Let's actually delete some of those. So I'm gonna go back to my admin panel. Go home, models. Yeah, let's get rid of all of these fusions. Yep, delete all those. All right, so we show only one fusion here. So my error was with my redirects. My save was working correctly. So key thing here is the brand ID I want to use is not necessarily the one that's coming in from the path, because if I go to here, let's refresh this, go to add model, I could change this brand, right? So if I change this to Honda, the URL is not correct. So I actually want this, grab that brand off my, grab that off whatever I'm saving so that I can actually use that. So let's see, how can I do this best? I'll get the brand ID. So that was not correct. Let's see here. So form get your value Django. All right, looks like we have many options here. So let's try those. Brand, got to the point. Let's see. All right, let's add a new brand for Honda. Notice that our brand ID is 1, which is for Ford, but we changed it to Honda. So let's go with the Honda. No Honda brands here. Let's go with Honda car brands. All right, CRV, pilots. I've some of these. So let's go with pilot and model. All right, got another error. Let's see if we actually added. All right, so that got added. Looks like our reverse is not working correctly. So model list. Let's see. Use what does model list require? We require brand ID, which is what I am specifying here. Model list. Let's try that. Okay, so I'll try it. Let's add a model. It's CRV. All right, there we go. So sorry for that roundabout. But what I was trying to do here for the redirect, my brand ID, I actually want to get that from what I'm trying to save. I don't want to use the brand ID that I'm getting passed in, because as I can show again, if I go to add model, notice that my URL says 2, which corresponds to Honda. But if I change this to like Ford, my URL is not changing. So I actually want to use the Ford value. I don't want to use the URL value. So I save a new model, F-150. That should take me back to the Ford page, not to the Honda page. All right, so I have my F-150 added here. All right, cool. So that accomplishes adding a new model. The final thing we need to do is update a model. So I'm going to copy this bunch, go down to edit, and paste this. And essentially, it's going to be very similar, except we're going to have a false here because we're updating. The form should have an instance. So we're going to get a model ID. Guess we don't even need to use the brand in this manner. So car model dot objects dot get k equals model ID. All right, so we have car model. This would be an instance of model. Okay, so we get the model. Using model ID, we don't use the brand ID here. We set the instance of the model where we have something we want the form to be initialized with. Otherwise, we save. We're going to redirect back to the model detail for the model ID that we had. That won't be changing. Okay, save it, redirects. Otherwise, I think this is the same. So let's give that a whirl. Let's go to F-150, edit model, add truck, update model, got an error. We actually have an error. Board models. All right, that got updated correctly. So I think our redirect again is the issue, and that's because we need the brand ID. See if that works. Edit for the truck update. All right, there we go. So we still need to provide a brand ID because that's what the model detail expects. If we look at model detail, we need a brand ID, even though we don't use it. All right, I think that takes care of our card capabilities. Let's actually take this for a spin. So we have our homepage. Let's actually add something to our homepage since it's rather bland. Add home.html. Okay, and here will be very similar to our list. Let's grab that. Brands. So let's provide simple H1. Page, nothing exciting here. Let's just create a link to brands. That's going to be curly braces percent sign. URL will be cars and brand list we want to go for. Let's correct quotation marks. We don't need to pass URL. Just say review. All right, let's see if that works. Because we're not rendering anything for our homepage. All right, so instead of a HTTP response, we're going to return something like this. Copy my render, return it for home.html. We'll have data for that page. So if I save it, refresh here. All right, there we go. Welcome to my homepage. Let's view brands. There we go. Let's add a brand. What else do we have? We have Jaguar, maybe. Actually, I don't know any Jaguar cars. Let's go with Nissan. I believe this is Japanese. Okay, so we have Nissan. Click there. Let's edit the brand. Say Exclamation. All right, looks like that got updated. New models, there's no models here. Let's actually add a model. So Nissan Rogue, I believe, is one brand. So let's add that model. All right, got Rogue. Looks like that's correct. Let's edit this and add some exclamations. Yep, looks like that's working. Let's go back. Let's add another model. Nissan Sentra as a model. All right, cool. We got that. We can edit that. Cool. Looks like our CRUD capability is working. Again, just notice the URL paths, that how we're using the IDs for the brand and also the car ID. You know, we could have a page that lists all the cars for all brands. That would be easy to do. Yeah, that takes care of cars and brands. Hopefully, nested CRUD is making sense and kind of how we can nest any level of data. Again, in this case, we have 2 levels. We could have 15 levels if we wanted to, if that made sense. But essentially, it's the same thing, kind of repeating itself. All right, let me clean up this. All right, looks good. And I think we're good with our CRUD capabilities. All right, so we didn't handle delete. Again, delete's pretty simple. We just add a link to delete brands we wanted, or add like a button. So maybe add a button next to each of these that says, view or delete. But for now, I'm going to leave that as is, and that completes our nested CRUD challenge of cars and brands. Thanks, guys.